and welcome to episode 4.5 of From the Top Rope, presented by Barstool Sports. We are going over Great Balls of Fire today, and I am your host, Robbie Fox. With me is my tag team partner, Jared Carrabis. Jared, quick thoughts before we get into the details of it. What did you think of Great Balls of Fire?
So, we've been talking about this for about a month now. Maybe even, I would say about a month. Just the title of it. And I was thrown off by the title. And I think that this was Vince's genius brain going to work again, being like, I'm going to name this the stupidest thing ever so that the expectations are so low that the card is actually going to blow everyone's expectations out of the water. And that's, to me, what happened last night.
Same here. I don't want to go way over the top because I'm obviously on a high from it. But I'm going to call this the pay-per-view of the year for WWE.
Yeah. People were posing the question on Twitter to just be like, name the pay-per-view that was better than this one in 2017, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, WrestleMania obviously had a big importance. If you're asking me which one would you rather be at as a fan, I would go WrestleMania, but that one had some stinkers on the card. It had the Rollins Triple H match, it had the Bray Orton match, had the main event. Not great matches. Every single match on this show, even the one I wasn't excited for, I felt delivered.
And you're the one that you were not excited for was Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins, correct?
Correct.
And all right, so I know that you and we're both big on the in-ring psychology aspect, the storytelling. How did you feel that was in this match? Because I thought it was good.
Yeah, no, I had no issue with it at all. I liked that. I don't want to get into it right now because I definitely want to talk about the pre-show match, but I liked that Bray was in control for a lot of the match. I think it works to both of their advantages.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's start from
the top there. Get into it. So the pre-show match was Akira Tozawa with Titus O'Neil against Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship. Now, we had a conversation about the Cruiserweights on episode 0 of this show, which was kind of a preview episode we put on SoundCloud. It's on iTunes now. You could go back and listen to it. We were recapping Extreme Rules, I think, was the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people haven't listened to that. So I went on kind of a rant on that episode that I'm going to pretty much repeat now because this fucking Cruiserweight division, man, it aggravates me. And it aggravates me. It's out of love. I love this division. I love the talent in it. And I'm going to say the current crop of Cruiserweights is the most wasted talent in the history of WWE because you're not a fan of them, just like
Nope.
Many people are not a fan of them. Nobody gives a shit about the Cruiserweights. And that's my issue because I do. I care.
I know that you care, and I would like to care, and that came out when we were at the house show. And I know that we said we weren't going to talk about the house show. We can totally save the entire discussion for that for Wednesday. But I wanted to draw one comparison to the house show, and that was that they didn't change the ropes for the Cruiserweight match.
And the crowd was pretty into it too. It was a good crowd all night, but they were into that more than any Cruiserweight match you'll see on TV.
And it sounds silly to suggest that different color ropes is the reason why people can't buy into the Cruiserweight division. But it's not just the different color ropes. It's the fact that the company treats the Cruiserweight division like it's a separate entity from the entire pay-per-view or the entire show.
It's crazy, man.
You get that vibe, and it's because the company creates that. And trust me, we saw one of the big news stories from this past week was that Austin Aries was released, and it was mutual, right?
It came out originally that it was pretty mutual, and I did some digging. I talked to some friends. It seemed like it was closer to Austin Aries was fired than it was a mutual release.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, he was very unpopular with literally everyone. So they were like, this isn't working out, man. You got to go. That's what I've heard. That's not a confirmed scoop or anything. But from everything that I've heard, it's been yeah, man, this isn't working out. You're kind of a dick.
Well, either way, Austin Aries and Neville are really the only two big names, I guess, in that division. There's plenty of talent. There's definitely not a lack of talent in the division. But if you want to talk about, star power with names, those are the two top guys. And now there's only one guy. So when you have a pay-per-view match, 205 Live is different. You're going to have all types of cruiserweight action on there. But when you have one cruiserweight match on the card for a pay-per-view, who's beating Neville? Who's the guy that's going to beat Neville?
It's nobody, and that's my issue, is that we don't have anyone positioned to beat Neville, and I love Neville. I think Neville is fantastic. I think him as champion is awesome. I love the fact that he's a dominant heel champion who doesn't have to cheat to win. Like, you look back at Sid. Sid was able to do that back in the day. Me and my brother were talking about it last night. He was the best. Like, he was just a fucking dominant heel champ. He beat everybody. And then when he was eventually beat, it was that much sweeter because it wasn't like, finally, everyone has been able to beat Sid, and now, just because he didn't cheat, he loses the title. It was like, no, he lost the match clean, fair and square. This puts the babyface over huge. There are so many people in that division who can be positioned tomorrow to beat Neville by just putting together a video package telling their backstory. I talked about this on the Zero issue. Mustafa Ali is probably my most underrated person in the entire company. I followed his indie career very closely in the last few years. That guy, it was a cop in Chicago as a Muslim and faced incredible adversity and didn't want to give that up to come to WWE because he was supporting his family. That's okay, instantly put a video package together about that. That will get the crowd behind him. You get TJ Perkins, who won the Cruiserweight Classic, has a douchebag gimmick right now where he quotes video games. He comes out, he does the dab. In the Cruiserweight Classic, he was the MVP of that shit, putting on awesome matches with everybody. And after he won, had people in the crowd crying when he talked about how he kept the key to the apartment that he was first evicted from because he couldn't afford to pay rent because he was training wrestling too much. You look at Cedric Alexander, who they gave the worst gimmick ever to. He's hung up on Alicia Fox, not hung up on Alicia Fox. His whole storyline in the Cruiserweight Classic was that he struggled to cut weight to get down to 205 and turned down a contract from Ring of Honor, a lucrative contract, to just take a shot at the Cruiserweight Classic. And then he lost in the Cruiserweight Classic, and Triple H was so impressed that he came out and told the crowd live that they were going to sign Cedric Alexander, and he finally would be able to support his family. Instead, he's in a horrible romantic love interest with Triangle with Noam Dar, who they gave an awesome gimmick to on the main roster. He was one of the only cruiserweights that got a great gimmick. He was fucking Mr. Steal Your Girl. And then he's now just a bitch for Alicia Fox. And that is one of the worst angles they've ever done.
Alicia Fox is almost the kiss of death.
She is. There's nobody that she's managed that has turned out okay. This division is so good. The Cruiserweight Classic was my favorite weekly wrestling show I have watched in years. Every single episode delivered. Jack Gallagher is so good. The crowd gets so into his matches. The pay-per-view match that he had against Neville was one of the best matches of the year, and it flew under the radar because they lit the crowd purple, and they put purple tape around the ropes, and they put purple graphics on the screen, and they said, "This is a circus act, don't pay attention to it." And the crowd played with beach balls.
Yeah, didn't they chant for the beach balls too?
They chant for beach balls all the time. I went to a Cruiserweight match. They were chanting for Derek Jeter. It was like, guys, I love Derek Jeter as much as the next guy. I could cry watching Derek Jeter highlights. Let's not chant for Derek fucking Jeter right now.
Overrated, in my opinion.
He's not overrated. So that's my rant on the Cruiserweights. I thought this match was good. I don't know did you watch the pre-show match?
No, I have absolutely zero interest in the Cruiserweights.
I figured. It was a pretty good match. Neville retained, obviously. Tozawa was good. I really enjoy the Titus O'Neil gimmick. I don't know what it is about it. He makes me laugh. He does.
As an agent?
Yeah. Dude, I can't explain it. I just really enjoy it.
So I know that you're kind of tapped into the whole backstage area. Is there a reason why Titus has taken on sort of this agent role versus an in-ring role, and it kind of lines up with his suspension for basically doing nothing?
Well, it's a LeVar Ball parody. That's what the whole gimmick is. He's LeVar Ball.
But why isn't he also competing in the ring?
I think just because LeVar Ball has a lot of talk and doesn't actually do anything, so they're just copying that.
Makes sense.
I mean, we talked about it when LeVar was on Raw. I don't know much about LeVar Ball, but I know that this is kind of a parody of that. So
yeah, that makes sense.
It's very timely for a company that names pay-per-views after 60s songs or 50s songs, whatever, for them to immediately hit a LeVar Ball parody. So the first match on the main card was Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins, and Bray Wyatt got his much-needed pay-per-view win. Great match.
I remember we had the discussion about who needed it more.
Yep.
And then I forget who said what. I believe I said Bray needed this.
We both agreed on Bray, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Seth Rollins had his victory at WrestleMania, got to avenge the whole comeback story. But with Bray Wyatt, I feel like, his character is one of the best in the company. He delivers on his promos. I know that you and I kind of disagree on the quality of the promos. I think you said something about it, like his message needs to be better, right?
Yeah, I enjoy his delivery, and it's nothing against Bray Wyatt on his promos. I think the writing staff needs to come up with much better material because every one of his promos seems to be like, the people are lying to you, man. Because the doves and the angels go into the dirt and the soil, and then there's worms, and then, I'm going to beat you. And it was like, bro, you didn't say anything in that promo. And that's why I liked when Seth Rollins was like, dude, I don't believe in God. God's fake. I was like,
Yeah.
Holy shit, Seth.
There's
kids in the crowd.
But with I guess I sort of do agree with you because, when Bray Wyatt first debuted and he was kind of talking, in riddles, I eventually thought that it was going to lead to some sort of payoff, but that's just how he always talks. Like, I thought that eventually, when he was talking in riddles, that we would have some sort of video package that would explain what he was actually talking about, and it would all make sense eventually. And when in reality, it's like, I used to pay super close attention to his promos. Now it's like, okay, he's just doing that thing where he just talks. But
yeah, it becomes background noise.
Know what to say. Yeah. But with this match, I thought that it was a pretty decent feud, and I think that one of the things that took away from it building up to it was to your point about Seth Rollins. We don't really, is he a heel or a face? We don't know, or is he's supposed to be?
I mean, he's a face, yeah, but he doesn't do anything that would suggest that.
Right. Yeah, and then Bray Wyatt is just kind of, we know that he's a heel, but at the same time, hasn't really built up to be this monster heel that is like an unstoppable force. Like that. Like he hasn't. What's his last big win? Like what's his last big win?
The Elimination Chamber, but before that, I couldn't name it.
Yeah, I mean, he won the WWE title and then
lost it on his first defense.
Yeah,
or maybe second. I think Cena got a rematch on SmackDown.
Yeah, so it's they've done a poor job with building up, I guess, the strength of Bray Wyatt.
They have, and there was kind of a stat that went kind of viral in the wrestling Twitter circle this weekend that said he was like 100, 424, and 10 in matches. But I think that factors in house shows, which I don't think should count because, I mean, faces go over at house shows. That's just pretty much what the deal is.
Yeah.
His actual pay-per-view stats, I think he's even. I think he's like 17 and 16 or something. But it shouldn't be that close. Like Bray Wyatt, obviously, look at the crowd. Like, Bray Wyatt is a merch seller. You see the sheep masks. You see everything, the fedoras, the people dress up as him. They wear the Hawaiian shirts like he used to. The dude can be a star. Like, they're the only ones hurting Bray Wyatt right now. If they gave him more creative freedom maybe on the promos, if they booked him as a dominant champion, like, he could be a star. The crowd loved it when he won at Elimination Chamber, and they kind of dug the Randy Orton feud before it got all spooky.
Yeah, I don't mind it getting spooky. It was just you got to deliver on it, and they did.
Yeah, they did the stick with the X on it, and then like they were driving it into the ground, and he was doing like the he rubbed Sister Abigail's ashes on his face. It looked like he was in blackface. That was. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I enjoyed this match. I thought Rollins was really good in this match. For a guy that doesn't like Rollins much, thought he was very good. He took some cool bumps. He took a bump onto the stairs from like the apron where he hit his head on the stairs. I thought that was cool. I've never seen that before. He spiked himself on the apron. He took the Sister Abigail really well. Thought Rollins like really shone in this match. And the crowd got behind him as a babyface. Maybe what it's going to take is putting him in the first spot of the show while the crowd's super hot and ready to see a fun match.
Yeah. I think it definitely. Do you think it's fair to say that it exceeded expectations?
Yes.
Okay.
Especially mine, because I saw this match on Raw, and people walked out of the building during it. They were like, "Yeah, this sucks. We're doing headlocks here." So for me, this definitely exceeded expectations.
Yeah, I thought that it was a good match, and I wanted to make sure that my love for both of these performers did not cloud my judgment.
It did not. I thought it was pretty good.
Good.
Next match, grudge match. Big Cass against Enzo Amore. They played an awesome video package before this one, detailing the entire rivalry. And my sister was over because yesterday, it was a big day for me. Great Balls of Fire. All the family came over. They said, we know this is really important to you. So my sister was over, and she hasn't seen, she sees wrestling once in a blue moon when I have it on. This video package broke her heart. She was like, no, why are they not together? And I said, you got to watch, they'll show. And when Cass lays down and like puts all the stuff on him to make it look like he got attacked, she was like, no. They cut to Enzo. He's got the tear rolling down his cheek. She's like, that's a real tear. He's really upset. I was like, man, you're a mark.
It was a real tear, though.
It was a real tear. It was good. It was a really good video package. And this match was the one match on the show that I saw a lot of people take issue with. I had no issue with it. They
What was
took
their
issue because they were like, Enzo comes out, he cuts this awesome promo where he keeps quoting Frank Sinatra, and he's saying, I don't need you, I'm going to go on my own way, all of this. Awesome, awesome, awesome promo. Some people said it went too long. I don't think so, because by the end of it, the crowd was right there with him, and he closed it off with the SAWFT, stealing it from Cass. I think that was the first time Cass didn't do it, which I thought was like a really nice touch. They had an issue with it because this was a straight-up squash match where Enzo did not get an ounce of offense.
What the fuck did they expect? Like, this was how it was. So I would have booked the ending differently. Like, I think we discussed this previously. I would have had Enzo win the match by disqualification because Cass just beat him so badly.
Me too.
That's how you build. And then you have a rematch at SummerSlam where it's some sort of gimmick match that gives Enzo a chance.
Yeah. And that gives you a built-in, like, why are we doing this again? Because Cass technically lost, and he wants to avenge that.
Right. Yeah, you have the rematch after Enzo gets beaten so badly. And then I'm sure that, yes, technically Enzo wins the match, but also at the same time, Cass wouldn't mind beating him down again. Enzo wants to avenge his, beat down and embarrassment. There's ways that you could have booked it that way. I guess it sort of serves the same purpose in having Big Cass just beat Enzo and just, there was literally no offense from Enzo. But I think that to tell the story better instead of a pinfall, especially because obviously you get the same sense as me that this is not a one-off. This is obviously going to be a rematch at SummerSlam.
I'm worried about that.
Why?
I'm very worried about that because the commentators after the match, Michael Cole goes, all right, I guess we could move on now, and we could all move on from this. And then on Raw Talk, it was very much Cass was like, yep, I'm going for the Universal title. Like, that was it for Enzo. So I will have an issue with this match in hindsight if this is it. If this is it, I will have major fucking issues with this match. If they do it again, street fight at SummerSlam, I'll have no issue with that.
Yeah, it has to. I mean, it has to. If you're talking about one of the most popular tag teams in NXT and then eventually WWE, it's a waste. I mean, how many times did they do Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, and now Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal? I mean, those are feuds that no one needs to see several rematches of. This is not one that people want to see. It's one that it deserves to be seen because of the storytelling. So, I mean, yeah, I watched the Raw Talk afterwards, and I heard Big Cass talk about how he wants to go after Lesnar, and he was saying, he was cutting a promo. But by the way, I don't know if you want to speculate on this, but who do you think Big Cass was talking about when he said someone at NXT was saying how, he would never become anything?
I know who he's talking about.
Bill DeMott?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, he can obviously shit on Bill DeMott because he's not with the company anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was sort of, I'm throwing the set, like he's going to try to move forward, but Enzo's not going to let him.
That's what I
work.
hope. Yeah, that's what I hope it is. Like Enzo is, and I feel like if that's the route they're going, the promo before this match is that much more tragic. That Enzo couldn't do it after he was like that passionate. I'm going to do this by myself. I'm going to leave you in the dust, and then he just got fucking killed.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, Cass thinks nothing of Enzo at this point, so he's going to try to move on to challenge for the Universal title. But Enzo's like, "Wait, I'm not finished with you yet."
Yeah. Um, Cass has a new theme, by the way. I haven't decided how I felt about it. Like it's either a horrendous theme that I hate, or it's okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I think new themes always take a little while for me to warm up to. And this one, when I first heard, I was just excited that he had his own theme. So
Yeah.
like that, when he
It
first came out, I
sounds
was like,
pretty
"Does he have-"
generic, which
Yeah,
is upsetting because it might be rushed. And CFO Dollar Sign is the new like Jim Johnston. They're the ones doing all the new themes. They usually have a lot of time to whip up a theme. You look at Glorious, Bobby Roode's theme was originally Shinsuke's theme that they made like months before his debut. They were like, "Oh, Shinsuke's getting signed. Let's make a theme for him." And then they had months to come up with his new theme. If this was a spur of the moment decision to break Enzo and Cass up, they might have scrambled and like, "All right, take this. This was someone's unused theme from NXT." I just feel like currently every new theme is so good that this one stands out as like, it's not great.
yeah. I think, like I said, I was excited that he had his own theme. That was like one of the first things I was paying attention to. Is like, "Oh shit, Big Cass is gonna have his own theme now." And then he
Yeah.
came out, and I was like I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it, and I'm not hearing it yet. I'm not at that point where I'm like, "Yep, okay, I got it. Yep, this works." But that's not to say I'm trying to think of a comparison to whose theme took me a little while to warm up to. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't really crazy about Seth Rollins' theme at first.
Yeah, I still don't think it's great.
I like it now because I mean it's a blend of what he listens to in real life.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that like that's kind of where it comes from. It's
I
like, all
don't
right, we're gonna give him some of this.
I don't think Dean Ambrose has a great theme.
No.
I think he has a decent intro. The intro to his theme is basically the intro to Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue.
Mm,
But that's kind of a good like sound cue to get the crowd going off.
right.
Cesaro has a pretty shitty theme.
That's the worst theme in the company.
Yeah, it's really bad. He's able to use Sheamus's theme now because they only used like the first 20 seconds of Cesaro's theme, if that.
Yeah.
Sheamus actually does have a pretty good theme. I was thinking about that last night. And getting into Sheamus and Cesaro, they were against the Hardy Boys in a 30-minute Iron Man match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Really, really enjoyable match for me.
Yeah, people forget that Sheamus and Cesaro blew a 3-1 lead.
I thought they were gonna. Like do that whole thing. Didn't they have an Iron Man match of some sort? Maybe it was Sasha and Charlotte or something. A few months ago when the whole 3-1 lead joke was popular, and everyone was like, "Oh, they're gonna do the." Or it might have been New Day. It was New Day and someone. It's like, "Oh God, they're gonna do the 3-1 lead joke" back then.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
now I was like, as soon as they went up 3-1, I was like, "Oh, Vince was 13 months late." Vince was so late, he thinks that this is a timely joke to make. Please don't do this to me, man. Don't do this. I thought the storytelling in this match in particular was some of the best of the night, just because the Hardys, from the very start, people were kind of shitting on them. They were like, "Oh, the Hardys were tired. They can't put up with a 30-minute match in 2017. I think from the very start, they were selling the Iron Man stipulation well, in that they were pacing themselves. And the first fall happened 16 seconds in when Matt gets bro kicked. But every time they cut to Matt, he was like deep breathing and he was trying to like slow down his heart rate, it looked like. And I really liked that. I liked that this was a 4-3 match. We said we didn't want a sudden death 0-0 thing. A lot of the pinfalls were very creative. The Matt and Jeff one, I think it was the one to tie, where Matt went for like a crucifix pin and Jeff leg dropped Cesaro's legs.
That was to go 3-2.
That one was awesome. I've never seen a pin like that in my entire life.
Yeah,
And
that was pretty badass. And then obviously the we've talked about, I guess, how we hate the manufactured reactions from the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I think that these were genuine reactions when Jeff hits the twist of fate, goes to pin Cesaro with 2 seconds left, gets the 3 count, it doesn't count.
And people were
and then there
pissed.
people were rip shit about that. Yeah, that was genuine. I enjoyed that. But you had to know that was coming.
Yeah, of course. You had to know it, especially when Cesaro rolled out of the ring and like ran around. That was awesome. The final like 6 or 7 minutes of this match were so good because the Hardys were down and they were going for the pinfall and everything. It reminded me of when
Yeah.
you're playing, like, if you were playing this in a video game, an Iron Man match, that's what you would do. You would just be
Right.
going for pinfalls on every single move. Like, maybe this will work. Maybe this will work. Maybe this will work. And then they finally hit that, like, crazy 1, 2, like, just 10 finishers in a row. They
Mhm.
get Cesaro, and then they did the finish. We went to the house show at MSG on Friday, the big house show where AJ won the United States Championship, and they had this match, and it had the exact same finish as this one pretty much. It wasn't an Iron Man match, but it was the Jeff Hardy Swanton Bomb, and then he gets kind of rolled up for the pin. After that, they did that, and then Cesaro rolled out of the ring, ran around, and Jeff couldn't get the pin in time. There was a weird moment in this match where the crowd thought the referee counted 3 for the Hardys after a Matt Hardy moonsault. When you look back, I mean, at the time, I agree it looked like 3. If you look back at it, it definitely wasn't. He like checked the shoulder. He did that thing where the referee will slide their hand under someone's shoulder to see if it's down, and
Yeah.
people thought that was the 1 count.
Yeah. So with that, are we now at a point where the Hardys have lost their tag titles? They've had their rematches. Where do they go from here?
I'm really not sure. Matt also got fucking busted open at the end of this match.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
know
one of the
what
things
that
I
was
said to
from.
you is like they let the color fly last night.
That one, I mean, I guess you have to let it fly, though. Did you see the picture he posted on Twitter?
Yeah, 9 stitches.
Big old
He's got.
vagina right on his eye.
Yeah,
That was like, holy shit. It looked like his eye exploded.
yeah.
They cut to him after. I have no idea what did it. Probably something from Sheamus, that stiff fuck. Uh, I mean, that was bad. Hardy's, I don't know. Do you? I don't. I feel like I don't want them to break up. If they can go their own ways without breaking up, I don't want to see a feud unless it's the Broken Hardy feud. And even then, I would like to see the Broken Hardys as a tag team. I
Right.
think what you have to do is have them split up. Have Jeff go for a singles title, maybe the IC title. I wouldn't have any issue with that. I think that'd be cool. And have Matt somehow. We've been saying it forever. He needs to be Broken Matt. He was going crazy at the house show with the delete chants. He was like
yeah.
loving that there weren't cameras on. He was hitting a delete after every single move he hit. He's like, oh man, this guy really wants it.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand how we don't know the status of the gimmick rights. Like they have to have the rights by now because it's not unprecedented for the company to sit on things. Like when you look at the Bennett and Maria thing, they were in the company for months before they actually put them on TV.
Mhm.
So could it be something
Another
where
one, by the way, awesome theme at the very start. Like
Yes.
one of the best themes in the company instantly.
Yep, great theme. But could it be something where they have the rights to the broken gimmick and they're just letting, this play out as is, and then they're I mean, obviously they're not going to get the rights and apply it the next day. Like, could they already have them?
I hope so. I do. But I just don't know.
Mm.
Next up, Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. We talked about how stiff these people were, how much they hated each other. Kind of proved true in this match. A lot of moves were pretty fucking stiff. And especially Sasha won by countout. So Alexa keeps the title, and there was a post-match beatdown where Sasha went on top of the commentator's table and did the double knees onto the floor. Oh my God, did she kick Alexa Bliss like in the face and sternum so hard. I was like, she might have a broken collarbone.
When I saw that, I was, there's certain moves that I'm like, how do you make that so that it doesn't hurt the other guy? Like I think of Finn Balor's finisher. I think of when Bray Wyatt does that thing where he just flops on people. Cesaro does that thing where he just stomps on people's chest and like walks over them. Like, I look at stuff like that, I'm like, how do you fake that? How do you make it so that it's not actually like crushing ribs or something?
Oh, I think I could do Finn Balor's finisher, and you wouldn't even feel me.
Really?
Oh yeah, I think so. Just from a lifetime of like living with my mom and walking down the stairs, and then you get to like the final 3 stairs, and you're like, it would be less loud if I jumped from here and broke my Jesus, I broke my own fall than if I went down the final 3 stairs and creaked my way down. I think Finn Balor's finisher, I would feel like a feather, and it would look like I broke your ribs.
Mm. I'd love to see the science behind it.
Next time you're in the office, I'll show you.
All right, yeah, you can. I'll let you do it off the bar.
Yep.
But this move from Sasha Banks onto Alexa Bliss did not. I mean, it was the same thing. It was like, how the fuck did you do that and not actually kill her? When in reality, I think she probably did almost kill her. Like it did not seem like a very cleanly performed move.
She did, and then after the fact, Alexa's on the floor selling, and Sasha like walks up to her and kicks her in the gut. It's like, oh, you're supposed to be a babyface. You just fucking murdered this person. She
Right.
got what was coming to her. Don't walk up to her and like stomp on her gut now. You're making me hate you.
Yeah, and so did you listen to Raw Talk after?
She was so unlikable on Raw Talk.
Yeah, it's she's not really. She doesn't come off as a babyface, which her character isn't built to be a babyface.
No.
Like it's she's supposed to be that snobby type. I'm better than
her
you.
nickname is the boss.
Right.
What's something you associate with your boss? You don't like your boss. I do.
Right.
Love you, Dave Portnoy. But like the boss, especially in wrestling, you associate with bad things.
Speaking of bad things, Sasha Banks right now is 0-7 in attempts to win the Raw Women's Championship at a WWE pay-per-view. You have WrestleMania 32, SummerSlam, Clash of Champions, Hell in a Cell, Roadblock, WrestleMania 33, and Great Balls of Fire. 0-7.
And you know
Sasha
what
Banks.
pisses me off about that? Really pisses me off is
They don't
that
play it up?
she is 0-7 for Raw. No, don't play it up. That's a horrible stat. That's a bad look for Sasha. She's 0-7 in Raw Women's Championship matches for the simple reason that they wanted Charlotte to have her pay-per-view streak. That was the big thing. Sasha's like
But that's been over for a while now.
Sasha is a 16-time Raw Women's Champion. She's got more Raw Women's Championships than I do years in my life. The payoff for Charlotte's pay-per-view streak ending is the most forgettable pay-per-view match of all time against Bayley before WrestleMania.
Mhm.
So why did you keep it and maintain it for so long if the payoff wasn't a big WrestleMania win for Bayley? Oh, that pisses me off. I think about it every day of my life. Not a day goes by where I don't think about the botched Charlotte pay-per-view streak.
Yeah, that was a bad one. And then also, what was that? There was one forgettable women's championship match on Raw. Was it? It was Bayley's first time winning the title.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what it was. Bayley's first time winning the title. Look at that. I even forgot about that. Bayley's first time winning the title was against Charlotte on a Raw, and then she retained to break Charlotte's streak.
Okay. Yes. Right.
That is the most counterintuitive, like, blows my mind that somebody thought of that in a production room. We're talking about a company that named a pay-per-view Great Balls of Fire, though. So you know what? Whatever. The match itself, I really enjoyed. Sasha and Alexa, I thought were awesome.
Yeah, and I can't remember when I asked you which of the Great Balls of Fire matches do you see as being rematches at SummerSlam? Did you name Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss?
No, I did not.
Do you think now, after seeing what you saw, that it will be?
Yes, but not a singles match. I think they'll add someone to it. Like probably
yeah.
Nia Jax.
Ugh.
Or maybe you do like Bayley and Nia Jax. I don't. It's SummerSlam is a very intriguing card to me. How they're gonna fit everyone. I don't want them to do like a 7-hour WrestleMania show where we get like clusterfuck tag matches and all that. Make SummerSlam important. Not everyone has to make the card. Like if they don't deserve it, don't put them on the card. Next up, do you have anything else on the women's match?
No, I was just gonna say. Speaking of not making the card, why was Finn Balor not on the card?
That's like my one big gripe with this pay-per-view is it was so heel heavy in the wins. You look at Neville as a heel, he won. Bray Wyatt, heel won. Big Cass, heel won. Cesaro and Sheamus, heels won. Sasha technically won, but the heel keeps the title. The Miz won, he's a heel. Braun won, he's kind of a heel. Heath Slater won, he's a face. And then we have Brock Lesnar, one who's, we had the conversation last week. I think the fans voted that he is the face in this feud.
Yes.
and he was the face in this match for sure. When you have a pay-per-view that's so heel heavy, you got to think about the fans that bought tickets to this show. If I bought tickets to the show, I would be pumped. It was an awesome pay-per-view. Think about how many thousands of people in that crowd were kids and marks and people that just want to cheer for their favorites. You have to give them a little bit of excitement, a little bit of hope, something to cheer for. Finn Balor should have been on this card, and he should have won. Maybe just replace Dean Ambrose with Finn Balor. Somehow put Balor in this feud. We didn't have to see this rematch because it's the next match we're talking about is The Miz versus Dean Ambrose. I've been a big fan of this feud, big fan of everything, all the matches that they've had. They've all been different. This one, like, it happened a few hours ago. I don't remember anything about it. It was a very forgettable match. Put Balor in this position and have him beat The Miz for the IC title. Immediately, Raw's top babyface has something to do. He is the top babyface on Raw. Everyone loves him.
Yeah, I guess I just feel like he's destined for more. You know, if you have him be the inaugural Universal title winner, obviously suffers the shoulder injury, has to go away for, what is it, 6 to 8 months, whatever it was, comes back. I just feel like, what has he done since he's been back that's been memorable?
Not much.
Not much
his
at all.
return after the Raw after WrestleMania, he tagged with Seth Rollins. Like, people enjoyed his return. After that, he was in the 5-way, and he was really good at Extreme Rules. And after that, literally nothing. He's like not used on Raw, not used on pay-per-views. He is the most loved babyface Raw has.
And he's not used. Well,
and they just have nothing for him
between like his minimal usage and that whole report that came out like a month or two ago where Vince called him like a little guy.
Maybe, but like Vince would be absolutely clueless to not use him because the company struggles for baby faces that the crowd likes. The most over babyface on their show was Braun Strowman, and he was supposed to be a heel.
Yeah. But, I mean, you're talking about the same company that held back Daniel Bryan because of his size.
Yeah, that's true. Like, greatest wrestler of all time, no big deal.
Yeah.
I honestly have nothing. Miz won the match. He had Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas with him. I thought Bo Dallas looked really funny.
Yeah, I mean, this match did nothing for me.
It was the only match, and the match wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It was, like, completely passable. It was just an average match that was kind of like the rest of their matches.
They just didn't give me a reason to care about this.
Yeah.
I didn't care one way or another who won. And I would have been, I guess, interested is the word. If Dean Ambrose would have been like, oh, okay, a different direction. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have been excited. I wasn't invested, and certainly don't care about The Miz retaining the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, just no interest. It was fine. Perfectly passable. The next match was fucking awesome because it featured our guy, Braun Strowman, against Roman Reigns in an ambulance match. The only way to win is to put your opponent in that ambulance and close the doors. This was a fight. It was a fight for the ages. Braun called Roman a bitch. He was like, hit me again, bitch. It was awesome. Everything about this was great. They were just, they beat the fuck out of each other on the outside. Were they in the ring for 2 seconds this match? It was like the whole match. They were just on the ramp or on the outside, which was cool because it's just such a change of pace from the rest of the show. They did a lot of stuff on the ramp. Roman threw Braun through the entrance stage. That was awesome. Can't say enough good things about this match, especially the finish of it was really creative, and I enjoyed it. Even though it was sure, Braun's not going over and looking really strong here because it was a mistake that Roman made and not Braun throwing him into the ambulance. It was, you can go on our Twitter @FromTheTop. We got the gif of it. It's Roman going for a spear, and Braun just moves out of the way, so he just jumps headfirst into the ambulance, and Braun closes the door. Made me laugh really hard when it happened, and then I was really excited that Braun won.
Yeah, we both had the same logic, but for different guys, where, Roman can still look strong if he goes into the ambulance by an accident or just whatever. You're not getting pinned. Neither guy is getting pinned. So whoever wins, unless you're absolutely beat unconscious, that could have been an outcome where Braun just absolutely unmercifully beats Roman into a coma and then throws him into the back. Then that's pretty dominating. And then you can just, slap the back doors and then the ambulance drives off. But I want to say Roman was in the back of the ambulance for maybe a tenth of a second.
Yeah.
Like he's in the ambulance, he loses the match, and then he comes right back out, and then the brawl
He
continues.
was
So
fucking pissed that he lost that match.
yeah, yeah. So both guys end up looking strong in the end, and you have a different layer to Roman's character come out of it.
I'm gonna go as far as saying this was Roman Reigns' heel turn.
So I
I
saw
think this
that
was a
tweet.
double turn,
I
and I think that because so after the match, Roman beat the fuck out of Braun Strowman. He speared him off the back of the ambulance. It was awesome. And then he threw him in the back, drove off, and then back to the ambulance up, going like 50 miles an hour. I don't know. He was going super fast into another truck, making the back of the ambulance look like an accordion. Attempted murder, like literally attempted murder.
Yep.
They send
I was
out
gonna
Heath
say
Slater and Kurt Hawkins to be like a spur of the moment, like while they're trying to get Braun out of the back of the ambulance, to be a spur of the moment. Oh, fuck, I don't know what we do right now. Send out the jobbers. Have a match, guys.
Mm.
So they sold it really well, too. They were like, I don't know. We weren't supposed to wrestle tonight.
Did you see their tweets?
No, I didn't.
All right, hold on. Let me read them. They're actually pretty funny.
While you're reading them, they have a match. They don't even show the match. They're showing the firefighters trying to use the jaws of life to get Braun out. Do you have their tweets pulled up?
Yes. So Kurt Hawkins tweeted, "So I'm sitting in catering, then the next thing I know, I'm semi-main eventing the first ever WWE Great Balls of Fire. This business is crazy. Fact." And then Heath Slater tweeted, "Okay, no idea what is going on, but I just got a victory on the first ever WWE Great Balls of Fire. Woo, feeling good."
So I really like that aspect of like that. I thought that was awesome. At first I was like, what the I was like, there's 2 minutes left in this show. Do we really have to put the jobbers on and Heath Slater can't be on the card?
So you did the same thing as me. You forgot about Lesnar and Joe.
No, I did not.
I
was
forgot.
saying it in the sense that like, do we have to cut time off Lesnar and Joe?
Yeah, I completely forgot about Lesnar and Joe. I thought that Braun and Roman was the main event. I was like, oh yeah, shit, ambulance match. And then when I was texting you, being like, okay, so obviously this is gonna end with Braun like blowing the back doors off the ambulance and going down and like attacking Hawkins and Slater.
Oh, I thought you meant Brock and Samoa Joe when you said
No,
that.
I meant the jobbers. He was just gonna absolutely murder them and then like cut a promo on Roman, and that was going to be the end of the show. I completely forgot about Lesnar and Joe.
So the ambulance, Kurt Angle, by the way, was in the back, like telling the ambulance and the firefighters what to do. This guy, there's something up with his face. I don't know what it is. There's just something up with his face that his face has never looked the way it does now. It's 1,000-yard stare like never before. The actual moment where he comes on screen for the first time was the hardest I've laughed in many years. When he comes on screen and he's got this look like, what the hell happened? Like he just looks like such an idiot. That was great. But Roman is a cold-blooded murderer. The firefighters get Braun out. He's all bloody and he's like, leave me alone. And he just stumbles off like a real monster from a monster movie. And here's what sealed the deal for me on this being a double turn. The crowd was going crazy for Braun walking away on his own. And the commentators put on voices that I like to refer to as the Owen Hart voices.
Ooh.
When Owen Hart died, JR got real quiet like this, and he was like, folks, this is not part of the show. Owen Hart has passed away. Michael Cole put on that voice. He didn't do the Southern accent, the Bell's palsy thing. But Michael Cole put on that voice, and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure what got into Roman Reigns. He seemingly just attempted to fucking murder Braun Strowman in the back. Corey Graves, even the heel commentator, Corey Graves, was like, I can't condone what he just did there. That was incredible. And then on Raw Talk, they sold it as a heel turn. And
did they, though?
They absolutely did. And I texted a friend of mine that works in the company. And he is known to kayfabe me on a lot of issues. I'll text him and be like, oh, give me the scoop. And he's like, you'll have to watch and see. And I said, was that a legit double turn? And he said, sure seemed like it, huh? And I was like, all right, so that's probably a double turn.
So the only reason why I don't think it was a Roman heel turn is because I guess his body language after he got out of the ambulance. Like if he was like maniacally laughing and selling it as like, I fucking hope he's dead in there, then that's like a very heel thing to do. Like he basically, to put it into horror movie terms, like it's like when they kill the bad guy and they're just like trying to get away and protect themselves. Like that's what
Oh,
Roman
I
did
don't
when he
think
came out
so.
of the. He did like that's how he came out of the ambulance. He wasn't like fuck you. Like he didn't.
I thought
He
he
didn't
was
come
kind of
off.
like like his face was reminded me of the face he made after he beat the Undertaker at WrestleMania. Like, well, I just fucking did that.
I'll have to go back and look at it because it came off to me like, the girl that's been stalked by the serial killer and they finally get their revenge at the end of the movie and then they're just happy to be alive at the end. Like that's how it came off to me. So that's why I didn't look at it as a heel turn. But I guess if that was their intention, they could have done a better job on Roman's behalf with his reaction after the fact.
I think it was a heel turn. A little scoop, by the way, for the podcast. That whole ambulance crash scene was filmed on Saturday night.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Uh, so, Heath Slater beat Kurt Hawkins. Congratulations to him.
Big win. He needed it. He
Huge
needed
win.
it.
And the main event for the WWE Universal Championship was Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar.
Mm.
On a show with a lot of awesome matches. We've been talking about this. We're calling it the pay-per-view of the year for WWE. I thought this was match of the night. And it was only
Did you fucking really?
Yep, and it was only 6 minutes and 25 seconds. Everything about it was fucking awesome. From the very beginning, Joe attacks Lesnar before the start of the match, throws him out of the ring while Heyman's doing the introduction, puts him through the announcer's table, gets him back in the ring. Brock's laughing it off. Joe is very dominant. Joe is able to hold the ref so he couldn't see and low blow Lesnar. I thought Joe was winning this match. When he hits the low blow on Lesnar, when he attacks him before the match, I was like, all right, we're padding up reasons as to why Lesnar lost the title. And none of this is him losing the title clean. So I was like, holy shit, are they about to put this title on Joe? And it felt like a shoot. The whole match, I tweeted, I said, excuse me, I have an announcement. This is a shoot. Because it felt like an MMA fight. And Joe was like blocking knees that Lesnar was throwing the way you would in MMA, and Lesnar eventually just picks Joe up after, while he was in the coquina clutch and hit him with one F5, finished him off. Brock Lesnar's sprint matches are way better than Brock Lesnar's Suplex City matches to me.
Right.
His match against Goldberg is one of my favorite matches of the year, the WrestleMania one. And it was 4 minutes long. And I was like, that was one of the best matches of the year.
I agree that he's better in short bursts, but don't you think that with all the build, like they did a really great job building up this feud? Don't you think that it deserved a more time?
No. I think especially I love the aspect of Brock Lesnar that they've been putting in since last November, where he is basically an MMA fighter. Like his fights are short, and you don't know what's going to happen. He could fucking lose in 2 seconds, or he could win in 7 minutes. It's I mean, you're not a huge UFC guy. I am, obviously. The biggest build-up to a fight there has ever been in the history of the UFC was Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor, and it ended in 13 seconds. They went on a world tour. They took two of them to every country you could ever go to for 2 years. The fight got pushed off, this, that, and it ended with the first punch that was thrown in the fight, 13 seconds. And that is one of my favorite moments in MMA history because of it. That's the perfect anything can happen. This match was a very much anything could happen. And going into it, I thought for sure that Brock was going to retain. In the middle of the match, I was like, Joe is for sure going to win this title. So I love that aspect of unpredictability.
How did you feel about it only taking one F5 to defeat Samoa Joe?
That was a little disappointing. I would have rather
agree.
2 or 3 because I feel like everyone kicks out of the first F5. So for Joe to go down with the first, but they might be trying to do that thing they did with Cena not too long ago where they're going to try to build up the finisher as one can end it. Which I
didn't like.
The attitude adjustment. Can't remember the last time one of those ended a match. I think maybe against our boy Stardust. And I was like, oh, come on. I was like, he's the only one that can't kick out of one.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like. I wish, I'm not disappointed with the end result. I mean, obviously, have no problem with Lesnar retaining. I would have been fine either way, result wise. But I felt like with the build up, with the feud, which obviously we talked about the split screen Raw interview that they did that just felt real. Like it felt like an MMA promo. Like it didn't come off as scripted, and it just felt genuine. I felt like because of the build up to this match, I needed to see more. I didn't like that it only took one F5 to beat Joe. And another point is that this is pretty much a one-off, right? I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
think it's
that.
a one-off.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just felt like if you were gonna have a build-up like that and it was only gonna be one match, I would have been fine with it being this length if there was gonna be a rematch. But apparently there's not. So I guess I just wanted more from it.
I also enjoyed the aspect of Joe. I felt like from the very beginning knew he could not win this match. That's what it came off like to me. So he attacked him before the match. He hit him with the low blow. He, did everything in his power to cheat to win this match. But eventually Brock just caught up to him.
Hmm.
So I really, really enjoyed that. I think it's good that WWE's kind of capitalizing on the success of UFC and MMA in the way that they are right now. It's a few years too late because MMA hit its peak a few years ago. I'm not saying it can never hit its peak again, but the hottest talent on the indies right now is Matt Riddle, who is a former UFC fighter, and he works a very quote-unquote shoot style. He doesn't wear knee pads or elbow pads, and he wears fight trunks, no shoes, and he's the hottest talent on the indies because people are like, yeah, this is like what fights are like now. And Kyle O'Reilly is another one that worked in Ring of Honor and Red Dragon for a long time. He's another one that is probably going to WWE soon. His tag team partner Bobby Fish just did. They work a shoot style. I think you'll see more of that come into play in the coming years, at least. Especially Vince is very, I don't love heels and faces anymore. I think everyone should just root for whoever they want. That's how it is in real life. So I think there
Yeah.
should always be heels and faces in WWE and wrestling in general. I don't think there should ever be a time where it's like choose who you want to root for, because we saw they kind of tried it with this feud and the crowd was just very confused. But
I don't mind that though. I feel like the best matches have the most hostile crowds because of the fact that you could potentially go nuts for either guy.
I agree, but they should be saved. Like Hogan and Warrior is one of my favorite crowds ever because they're two
What about Hogan
baby
Rock?
faces at their peak. Hogan and Rock is another one. Like that's awesome. That was a heel and a face though. Hogan was a clear heel going into that match.
Yeah.
And it was almost because it was like Toronto, was it?
Yeah, it was Toronto.
Yeah, same place that WrestleMania 6 was. So it's very funny that the two best Hogan matches at WrestleMania ever were in that same place. I actually tweeted Hulk Hogan right before we went on the podcast. I don't know why. He tweeted something about like, oh, I'm glad I stayed under 300 pounds after this weekend, brother, HH. And I was like, can't get over 160, brother. Have any tips for the little guy, HH? Like, I don't know why. I just send a tweet to Hogan every now and then. Apparently, he might be coming back to the company soon. I hope he is.
What? Really?
I mean, listen, I
don't
can't
think he
condone what he
deserves
said,
to.
but like, come on, he's the fucking Hulkster. Remember when he came back around WrestleMania 30, he just cut promos about how cheap the WWE Network was? I love that.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, wasn't he training to be in the ring again? That's
Yeah,
never.
I mean, that'll never happen. I think
That's
he was
just
telling
silly.
himself he'll be in the ring, and everyone around him was like, that's very nice, Hulk. It's
Hmm.
nice that you could do that.
A nice little goal you got there. Kid.
Yeah, if he did one leg drop, his hip would explode into dust. Like, when you ever come across a vending machine and there's like a pack of baseball cards from the 1980s in there, and you're like, oh, let me take a shot at this. Let's see what's in there. And then there's a stick of gum in there, and you're
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I should do this, but it kind of make for a good story. Ate a piece of gum from the 1980s today. Put it in your mouth, and it just explodes into dust. That would be
Yes.
Hulk Hogan's hip. What a
Pretty much.
weird analogy to close this show, compared to Hulk Hogan's hip to a piece of 1980s bubble gum. But I mean, that's how it is.
I mean, it is. Yeah. And I think that there's still ways that you can use Hulk Hogan and market him. But yeah, I think he's served his punishment.
He
He's
did.
Yeah.
He did. There's a
he's
good
done his time.
documentary about the whole Gawker trial, by the way, on Netflix. I think it's called Don't Speak or Nobody Speak, it's called. Very,
Ooh.
very good. That's a little recommendation at the end of the episode about the First Amendment and journalism. We're big J's, me and Jared. The two of us have great credibility.
Tremendous credibility.
Nobody has more credibility than us, believe me. Believe me. That about does it for this Great Balls of Fire episode 4.5 of From the Top Rope. We'll be back on Wednesday, of course. Make sure to download, rate, subscribe, all of it. Review on iTunes. That's very important. Can't say it enough. Say it every week. It's so important for you to do that. We'll be back on Wednesday with a guest, so make sure you tune into that. And for Jared Carrabis, I'm Robbie.